Hello everyone and welcome to this issue of Anti-Life Reviews. I am your new god, the Tony Makaya, and I'm here with week 3 of comics about things that make me nostalgic. Say that 3 times fast because I won't. I talk fast enough. We looked at the bad Phantom 2040 last week. Will this week's offering be any better? I hope so, as today I'm looking at The Army of Darkness versus the ReAnimator, a 4-issue series published by Dynamite Entertainment from October 2005 to February 2006. Yes, if you are a long-time fan, which none of you are, I did this review before, but I've privated all my old videos as they were terrible, my old videos. Yes, worse than this one. But either way, hit the subscribe button and let's open the Necronomicon and see what it has to offer. Let's talk about the writers and artists on this comic. The writer is James Kohoric, man who seems to know his horror, writing Army of Darkness, obviously, Night of the Living Dead, Silent Night, Deadly Night, Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash, among other comics, as well as lots and lots of Stargate, show I've only vaguely seen a few times late at night on the Science Fiction Channel. I don't know what it's called now. But he seems to know how to work his IPs. Can he do Ash a service here? And the artist on this one is Sanford Green. He worked on issues 1 and 4. He worked on Bitter Root, which I've heard is good and maybe I should check out. It's come up a few times in my comic research, actually. He's worked on some Legion of Superheroes, Wonder Girl, Sonic the Hedgehog, and a number of other 1 or 2 off things. And Nick Bradshaw, he worked on issues 2 and 3. Not sure why they did it like that. It's kind of jarring. But he worked on Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, X-Mans, and some other big-name stuff. Good for him. Dynamite loves to have multi-crossover variant covers, rare covers, etc., which I loathe this practice. I did grow up in the 90s, and I hated when they did it then. But inarguably, cover 1C, that's the 3rd cover for the 1st issue, yeah, how annoying is that, was the best of the bunch by Gabriel Dell'Otto. The rest of them are so-so. So before I get into the issues, let's start with some backstory. And if you've been hidden in a cabin in the woods most of your life, you may not be familiar with these 2 franchises. Well, both are loosely based on the works of H.P. Lovecraft, one of my favorite writers, with the Evil Dead franchise, in which Army of Darkness is the 3rd movie, starring one Ash Williams, has an evil book, the Necronomicon, a Lovecraft invention that has been in the zeitgeist for a long time now. But Ash has his life turned upside down by this book, which includes demons, monsters, evil hands, laughing taxidermy, time travel, and much, much more. And of course, the ReAnimator, based on the Lovecraft story Herbert West ReAnimator, stars one, Herbert West, who has this nagging penchant to bring people back to life from the dead with a glowing green serum for some reasons that aren't ever totally clear. Especially because he can't seem to get it right, and everyone he brings back are monstrosities. The Evil Dead has a number of movies, The Evil Dead 1, 2, An Army of Darkness all being entertaining, the remake being fine, and the newest one being fucking awful, frankly. There's also a show that was hit or miss, depending on the episode, Ash vs. the Army of Darkness. Whereas the ReAnimator had 3 movies of varying levels of entertainment, but the franchise has kind of died since 2003, and honestly I'd love to see more of that. They keep hinting at there being more, but we've not seen that. Now, where do we start in the comic? Where else? S-Mart. Shop smart. Shop S-Mart. The Deadites have been there, causing all manner of problems. Thankfully, Ash Williams is there to help, as well as Sheila, his girlfriend from Army of Darkness, who we won't see much of again, really. Well, Ash is arrested and put in a mental hospital because no one believes in his Deadite nonsense. Which mental hospital? Well, Arkham Asylum. Not that one, of course. Who else is working at the asylum? Well, Herbert West, duh. And he has been continuing his experiments here. And they have been predictably going poorly. But he has a benefactor of sorts, one Wilbur Wheatley. And if that name isn't familiar, I'll talk about him later. Well, Wilbur also possesses the Necronomicon, and uses it to bring the Deadites into the world, looking to release Yog-Sothoth. Release him from what? Once again, I'll get into that later. How does any of this actually help Herbert? Well, we don't really know. But things at the asylum go tits up, but a janitor named Deuce and a nurse named Sugar Baby release Ash, giving him back his fake robot hand, boomstick, chainsaw attachment, and classic outfit, knowing he is the chosen one. And these three begin raining hell on the monstrosities that litter the asylum. We also find out Herbert has been replacing his body part with dead-eyed body parts for some reason. But after some extended fighting, we see Deuce get attacked by little deuces thanks to a broken mirror a la the Army of Darkness movie. This leads to Ash heading into a mirror world, which is for some reason Alice in Wonderland theme, to fight deadites and evil ashes and whatever. And Sheila's there as Alice. Why? Who knows? Sugar Baby and Deuce are captured, and Deuce is killed by Herbert. Herbert is killed by Wilbur by removing his head. Okay, real Ash escapes the mirror world, and after some fighting, he destroys the Necronomicon with a well-placed shotgun blast, and Wilbur is killed, I guess. Then him and Sugar Baby, that is Ash and Sugar Baby, are going to get it on as Herbert gets away with his old head being reattached. What can I say about this writing? Well, I can sum it up with two pretty efficient words here. It stinks. It's a sloppy story. It's schizophrenic. And this should have been an easy layup, but gets in its own way for reasons that I can't really seem to understand. It just bumbles along from one remember this, remember that, sight gag, until the next, and then it just ends. Ash is like everyone else, only vaguely a character dropping quips that must have sounded better in James's head than they did laid out here. He comes off as stupid and lucky, which he is, but not to this extreme. The entire finale amounts up to that I shot the book and left, and the whole build-up was uneventful to say the least. I mean, Herbert West wasn't even someone that Ash was really up against, which calls into question the name of the comic. It wasn't really Army of Darkness versus ReAnimator, as he was on their side near enough to the end. And it wasn't Ash versus Herbert West, because Wilbur Wheatley was the bad guy. So I don't know. Not to mention, Herbert wants to stop death. He wants to prevent it. He doesn't want to just make a bunch of zombies. He almost gets no characterization here, does Herbert. Coming off like a character that James Kuhorik knew nothing about. I'm not accusing him of that, but it comes off that way. Why would he want to team up with Wilbur? What were his motivations exactly? And then he gets his head ripped off, but gets his old head put on and just leaves? I mean, what? and speaking of Wilbur, Wilbur Wheatley is famously from Lovecraft's The Dunwich Horrors, son of a human mother and Yog-Sothoth. And this is the loose interpretation of that character, which doesn't really matter because he doesn't do much anyways. I was confused why he mentioned freeing Yog-Sothoth. I don't recall Yog ever needing to be freed. He means summoned, but not released. Released from what? I think James was getting Yog confused with Cthulhu, who does need released. But let's go back to Ash's side characters. I don't care about any of these people. And debate the point of any of them. Sheila was here, and then she was gone. Who cares? Deuce and Sugar Baby, they released Ash, then Deuce gets killed, and Sugar Baby was there for eye candy, which I'll get into right now. And that's with the art. And as far as the art goes, it was mediocre. Now, that's not to say it was all bad. The Necronomicon pages were great, and I believe those were done by Nick Bradshaw. But as far as the regular work of Sanford here, it was really loose and watery. I know that's odd to say, but I felt like it was slipping around with overly bright coloring that did not bring any tension. All the people looked like people. Some of the Deadites had kind of inspired designs, but they were not really the focus, and it all got mashed together in this chaos that was annoying to wade through. Not to mention, there's a lot of cheesecake in this. Like, every woman in this has their panties shown, all white cotton panties for some reason. And they are just, I don't know, oddly overly sexualized, which wasn't a staple of either of these franchises. So I'm not sure what that added. This is a writing issue, probably. There's a scene where Ash is sucked into the mirror world, and it's an Alice in Wonderland inspired world, but why not Lovecraft, Cyclopean, evil cities or something? What does Alice in Wonderland have to do with either of these franchises? It seemed like a real lost opportunity. Overall, what can I say about the whole situation? This whole comic was a lost opportunity. I recall reading this when it came out, almost 20 years ago now, and found it crudely nostalgic then. But it's a stinker. Unless you need to read this out of some morbid curiosity, it's really not bad enough to be funny like a trauma film. It's not interesting enough to hold your engagement, and not relevant enough to its IPs to add anything worthwhile. I give it a hearty meh and little else. That was better than the Phantom 2040 comic, for what that's worth. Well, that was the army of meh versus the ReAnimator. But for all the bad it was, which one of the movies from each of those franchises is your favorite and why? Let me know down below. Maybe I'll do a review of the ReAnimator movies or the Army Darkness movies or whatever. And don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And please come back next week where I'm finishing off Nostalgia Month with a comic I didn't know existed. And that is Earthworm Jim by Marvel Comics. I do have the Doug 10 Nepal comics from the past few years. So I'm not sure how I missed this. I love Earthworm Jim. But I'm excited. Let's hope it's halfway decent. Well, this has been DeComposter, your new god. Thank you. I love you. No other gods do. I don't care what they tell you. Goodbye.